Giants Live hosted yet another incredible competition this past weekend. We were back at the Royal Albert Hall for the Strongman Classic.
It really was such an incredible show, and I'm still feeling it today. And I know, like, we laugh and joke, but it's hard work going to a competition.
That's because you're crawling all over the place trying to get your behind-the-scenes action. But
I am.
It was a fantastic competition. Obviously, a few people couldn't attend,
Yes.
which was very sad. But last-minute step-ins doing amazingly.
Yeah.
Gav Bilton really performing like... He looks like he's enjoying Strongman again.
Yes.
Which is so nice to see. And he's putting the work in to make that progress.
Yeah.
That it's going to, it takes a few years, but you're really starting to see Gav become a contender at shows now.
Starting to see him fulfill the potential that we know is there. I feel last year he was thrown in at the deep end and it was maybe too soon for him, and then he competed too often and never really got time to recover. I don't want him to go down that route again because he does still have some more competitions coming this year. So just look after yourself, Gav. We all know what he's capable of. I mean, just look at the man. Look at him. He looks like a drawing of a strongman. So he belongs in strongman in the sport, and we just want to see him at his absolute best. I can't, he's not, sorry.
I can't get a word in.
But he hasn't reached his peak yet.
Oh, not at all.
So,
he's still got plenty more to come from Gav. And also, I just got to mention Eddie Williams, stepping in last minute to come all the way from Australia to compete at the Royal Albert Hall and put on a hell of a performance. Anyway, we'll dive into the events. Event number 1 was the Dumbbell Medley. 5 dumbbells ranging from 80 kilos up to 120 kilos, going up in 10 kilo jumps.
Yeah, so we saw this event at Britain's Strongest Man 2021 and no one was able to complete all 5. So we did have a couple of good log presses in that show. We had Graham Hicks and Luke Stoltman, but no real great dumbbell presses. But we had some very good ones in this competition in the form of course, Alexey Novakov, who is just almost, I feel, with Mateusz's injuries, I feel like he is undoubtedly the best in the world at this event right now. And then Rob Kearney as well. Now, he's sort of opposite end because he was great at log, but then he suffered his injury. Log is still an issue in terms of hitting his best numbers, but he's unaffected on the dumbbell because it was his left tricep that he tore, and he's right-handed on the dumbbell.
There we go. I feel like I'm not needed.
Sorry, am I being too thorough?
I got to agree. Alexey Novakov, when it comes to dumbbell, you expect him to take first place. He is so efficient in terms of technique. Every single dumbbell looked the same.
Yeah.
Even Rob was starting to struggle with the clean towards the end, but Alexey makes the clean look effortless, gets it into the right position every single time. That just shows a well-trained athlete.
Yeah.
Not just strong, but technically superb as well. But very good performances from Paul Smith and Mitch Hooper as well.
Yes, Mitch Hooper was the fastest to do 4 and not 5. This was a very disappointing event for Evan. Now, Evan out back, you could see he was very uncomfortable with the dumbbell. When it started to go up out back, I think he missed 1. Well, actually, I think he missed 2. And at one point, it really came down on his shoulder. I don't think it injured him.
No, he was injured before. That's the issue. He was going in with an injury and you could see the pain on his face.
Oh, God, yeah. And Evan is just like, it's painful for him not to be able to perform.
Evan's a great dumbbell presser. We've seen in previous competitions. He does very well on the dumbbell.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's got this shoulder injury. He had it at World's Strongest Man, before World's Strongest Man. He needs to address it because if he keeps pushing himself, he's going to keep hurting it. And he's got that attitude that I will just give 100%. I mean, we see that in this competition. So to start off in 9th place in the first event, things really not going his way. He clawed his way back into this competition as we went through. But it was all about Alexey Novikov and Rob Kearney on event number 1.
So one thing we've just forgotten to mention was Andy Black. He actually dislocated his shoulder on his second attempt of the first weight, which was 80 kilos. He didn't realise it at the time. He said he didn't really feel any pain when he went for the 90 kilos, which he wasn't able to get. But I felt so bad for Andy. It was his birthday on that day, and he ended up having to go to hospital and sit in A&E all evening to get strapped up, x-rayed, and God knows what else.
Yeah, not exactly how he wants to spend his birthday, but hopefully he mends ends fast, and we see Andy later in the year. So event number 2 was the Hercules hold, and the big build-up for this was all about Mark Felix breaking his world record. Apparently Mark did break the world record in training. Now maybe he pushed a bit too hard in training. Maybe he felt the pressure of the competition. He did say he hurt his wrist on the dumbbell. These things happen. I personally think Mark doesn't cope amazingly well under pressure.
We've known Mark for such a long time. We know Mark doesn't do well under pressure because, I mean, when I met you 10 years ago, I could see when he was under pressure, and then he'd make mistakes and he'd fumble and have accidents and stuff. Yeah. Then he went through a phase of pure chill. Yeah. Mark came in, he was happy, and he started doing much better again. I do feel that putting him last, he really feels
in a position he shouldn't be going last.
No.
He should have been second or something like that.
Yeah. And actually, funnily enough, the guy who went first, Eddie Williams, ended up winning the event. I think maybe when you don't have those numbers in your head, although if he's going for the world record, he does have a number in his head, doesn't he?
I think he just needs to be treated how you should be. You know, if you do badly on the previous event, just bung them in position that you should be going. Mark likes to slide under the radar a little and surprise people. Yeah,
he's not an ostentatious, in-your-face kind of guy.
It's one of the worst performances I've seen from Mark on a Hercules hold. I mean, to say it's he still scored some decent points.
Yeah, of course.
But I've never seen him do less than a minute before.
No.
So, combination of things there affecting Mark. But Eddie Williams was the man on this event. The man from Australia. He wasn't so good in the dumbbell, but my goodness, he's got a grip on him. And this was another really good event for Paul Smith. Paul Smith has been on the scene for a long time, overlooked a number of years now, you know, where maybe the likes of Andy Black, the likes of Gav Bilton have been picked above him for a lot of competitions. He's kept working hard, and he's come and performed in this show.
Yeah, he really
second place on the Hercules hold. He was actually disappointed with this as well.
He was going there to break the world record. That's what he had in his head. So
well, we all want to break the record, but honestly, a very solid performance. And then Mitch Hooper, first time ever touching this event, 64 seconds for Mitch, going over a minute as well. Solid times. The kind of big consistent performance out of all the guys, because everyone had great events in this competition. The real issue was making sure you didn't have a weakness.
Yeah.
And Alexei placed 5th on this event, which was very solid for him. That was better than he's done in previous years, and I think that really put him in a comfortable position going into the rest of the events of the competition. So event 3 was a little bit of a new variation on a farmer's walk. So it was farmer's walk for distance, 15-metre course, but you had a drop zone where you crossed the line and you put the farmers down and you could turn. Old-fashioned farmers for distance, you would have gone round a cone or something like that and just gone as far as you can. This is a new variation because it's not about how fast you do it. It's still about distance.
Someone who didn't perform as well as they hoped they would, Mitch Hooper. Obviously, this is one of his favourite events and something he wasn't concerned about at all, but it didn't go so well for him, did it?
I think for Mitch, it's just experience on different kit.
Yeah.
You know, farmers are they vary greatly. You know, if you're training on a thin set of farmers where your legs kind of don't ever touch the sides, can be quite comfortable. These ones are very long, they're very thick, they can whack your legs. So I think now he's had the experience of using them, we'll see a better performance in the future. But yeah, when we talked about athletes having one bad event, this was Mitch's weakest event of the contest.
And it probably won't come as a huge surprise that the event was won by Alexey Novakov. 63.3 metres he covered. And Alexey, he's not known as having the best grip, but this is a great weight for him. 150 kilos, it's not too heavy for him. And because he's so damn fast, he doesn't have to hold it for that long anyway.
He's someone that covers distance quickly. So he's not having to hold on to the farm as long as maybe some of the other athletes. And he's just rapid when it comes to foot speed. Event number 4 was the 360 kilo axle deadlift. Very, very nasty deadlift this. We've seen a lot of athletes do it now in the past and struggle. And it was no exception in this competition. Alexey Novakov taking another event win, making it look, I won't say easy, but comfortable compared to everyone else.
It's fairly easy to be
And when you look at his warm-ups in the back, you kind of think, how does he do it?
I know. There was one warm-up. He didn't even pick it up in the end. It's just You asked him, didn't you?
Yeah, I think the thing is he goes in so tired from the previous event that the warm-ups, he's just trying to save as much energy as he can. Yeah. You can see he's struggling, but he comes out for the event and somehow first rep, boom. Second rep, boom. You're just like, wow. Yeah. I mean, Mitch Hooper was amazing. Mitch Hooper showing he's got extremely powerful back, and I believe Mitch had more in him. He went in with the tactics that 6 is going to get good points. Yeah. Knowing that Alexei may get 7 or 8, needed to play the smart game. He's also going for a big deadlift in a month's time, so you don't want to go to that red line where you kind of go absolutely to the limit and your central nervous system is then fried, because he's still got a few heavy deadlift sessions before he goes for the big weights in Cardiff. But those two clearly number 1 and 2 on the deadlift in this competition. This is where Evan really pushed hard to start clawing his way back. I mean, Evan did well on the farmers as well, but he needed a big performance on the deadlift. You could see the pain on his face. Underperformed on what he did last year, but in terms of the way the competition was, it was a later event this year. He was fatigued, he's tired, he's battered, his shoulders hurting. Still managed to get 4 reps, which got him good points on this one.
Another person who did great on the deadlift, who no one would have been talking about beforehand, was Spenser Remick, and he got 4 reps. And this is his first time on this setup. Spencer was very good. He said beforehand deadlift was one of the events he was looking forward to the most.
I was very impressed with Spencer in the whole competition. One thing about Spencer is he's a very consistent performer. Yeah. He's one of the athletes that didn't really have a bad event, but he didn't have an amazing event. He was just steady and solid all the way through. And if he can just raise that level just a little bit, extra rep here and there, a couple of seconds faster on something else, slightly longer hold, he could really put himself in a position to be threatening for, podium finishes.
Definitely.
Reminds me of Johannes Aho, someone who was very steady across the board, but just in those elite level shows doesn't quite have anything that he can win the events on.
Weapons, as you like to call them.
Big weapons. Eddie Williams, for instance, winning the Hercules hold.
Yes.
It kind of makes up for if you have a bad event. Whereas if you're just mid-table all the way through, it's hard to really climb in to those top few positions. But he was an exceptional performer and really, really impressed me, to be honest.
Well, Spencer, bless him, he's one of those, he's like a Paul Smith. He's been but without the benefit of Britain's Strongest Man like Paul has. He tied for first place at OSG with Pavlo Kordiaka. And I remember, because we were literally waiting for the results on the spreadsheet, and I went over to him thinking, and I was like, did you win? And he's like, no, because I lost to Pavlo on the stones. And the disappointment on his face, he must have felt like it was all those opportunities had gone. So I'm so happy to see him at the Royal Albert Hall, because he's very deserving, and he's someone who's been working for a long time to try and get this sort of opportunity.
Well, I think we're definitely going to see him again, because he's certainly worthy. Someone else we should mention on the deadlift is probably his best deadlift performance we've seen in a number of years, Mark Felix, getting 5 reps on this axle. I don't think we've seen Mark do 5 on this for a long time. I mean, Mark 10 years ago was winning deadlift competitions, but the standard has improved, the weights have gone up.
His age has gone up.
Mark's age has gone up, his reps have gone down over the last few years. This has been one of his best performances, and he needed to lie down at the end of it, didn't he?
He did, bless him. He slid under the bar, like his legs sort of went like that. But of course the bar started rolling, and then the next thing you know, all I can hear behind me is like, oh my God, is Mark okay? I was like, he's having a lie down, and the man's 56 years old, come on.
So the last event was the Atlas Stones, heavy set of Atlas Stones this contest, great to see. And to be honest, it doesn't stop a lot of them. They all still did some great times, and all 5 stones. Now, the battle was really between 8th and 4th place. Or, there was 4 athletes and half a point between them.
Yeah, it was incredible. But that just goes to show what you say about some people have great events and not so good. It really was quite a level playing field in that midsection, wasn't it? The only thing that was quite clear was that Alexei was going to win the competition.
Alexei had almost had an unassailable lead by this point. He was in a very solid position. Now, the performance for me was Evan Singleton on this.
Yeah.
In agony. He ended up placing 2nd on this event behind Maxime Boudreault. Maxime is an amazing stone lifter. You've mentioned that many times yourself, proving that once again. But Evan was not far behind, and this performance clawed him back almost to 2nd place.
Yeah.
He leapfrogged over Paul Smith. Paul Smith's start of the competition was incredible. The deadlift and the stones just cost him a little bit, and he ended up dropping down into 5th place. But stone-wise, Maxime Boudreault, all 5 in 24 seconds.
That's very impressive. And he ran out of tacky as well, but Maxime Boudreault doesn't need tacky.
He doesn't need tacky. Evan Singleton, second place in 25.59 seconds, and Alexey with another solid performance. All 5 in 25.60. Wow, I didn't realise it was that close.
Really close.
She ended up 6th, I think, on the stones. He did 5 in 35. Had a slip, I believe, on the second stone.
It was the second stone,
but composed himself, finished them off pretty nicely. Gav Bilton with a great performance on the stones as well. The big man, he's good at stones. 4th place for him, all 5 in 27 seconds. So that was very, very solid.
I'm so glad they went for the heavier set. It was funny. Athletes meeting came up. They're like, right, stones, we've bought both sets, lighter and heavier. And I was going, heavy, heavy, like trying to do lots of different voices. And everyone's like, yeah, heavy, heavy.
The athletes are so good at stones now, and if you think they were doing the heavy set of stones at Europe's back in 2016,
yes, we want the heavy set.
We want to see the heavy set. It's not too heavy either.
No,
it's not like I think what do we have? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of our athletes all did all 5 stones. That's better than everyone doing them, and it's a kind of second between everyone.
Yes, quite agree. More separation. Yeah. More of a struggle.
So, how did that leave our overall? So, obviously, Alexey Novakov, champion for the second year in a row at the Strongman Classic. He has now been on the podium in his last 10 competitions, and he is now a winner of 10 international Strongman competitions. At the age of 26, how many is he going to rack up over his career?
It really is incredible. And when you think of some of the competitions that he's done within that last 10, in there you've got the Arnold Strongman Classic, you've got World's Strongest Man, some of the biggest competitions.
Europe's Strongest Man. He's just a beast.
He really is.
You can't get him off that podium. He's always there or thereabouts.
I don't want him off the podium. My goodness, what a sad day that would be. Even though you coach some very high caliber athletes, I think this is the first time you've been at Giants Live as a coach. I mean, you weren't. You were there as yourself. But do you know what I mean? That one of your athletes...
I was in a coaching role as well. Yeah. No, it was fun.
How was that for you?
Well, absolutely brilliant. Mitch was great to coach. We spent some time with him the day before. I tried to be there when he needed me, kind of just give a little bit of advice on certain things. I've got a lot of experience using the kit and stuff like that. That's, always very beneficial. But also knowing when to just let an athlete get on with it, and also understanding that Mitch has other competitions coming up that he's focused on. He's got Canada's Strongest Man, which he really wants to be in contention to win. He's got the competition in Cardiff where he's going to be going for the big deadlift, so we have to keep all these things in mind. Short Classic as well the week after, so he's a very busy man over the next few months. But the main goal for him here was get through it uninjured, and he did. Picked up experience.
Podium. He's officially qualified for next year's Worlds as well.
That makes things nice. It's nice to get that qualifying spot early, because then you can relax and focus on training.
Exactly.
And we've got to finish with Oleksii Novikov.
Oh man. What a man. What a guy.
Really, really impressive. Just an absolute warrior, determined, always giving 100%. I think that's why people like him so much.
He's just so fun to watch. It's Alexei,
He's not like the most charismatic kind of guy on the mic or anything like that, but you respect what he does. You just know with Alexei, no matter what it is. We saw it at World's Strongest Man, and maybe to his detriment, he tries to give 100% all the time.
Everything, yes. Yeah, and absolutely. It is to his detriment.
As a fan, it's just awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome to see. And he looks like he genuinely... We know he loves it. Alexei's one of these people. He doesn't need to do strongman. He's got so much... outside of the sport, and I think it was Europe's Strongest Man last year at the Gold VIP meet and greet beforehand. He was like, because someone had asked him about, did it change your life? And he was like, no. He said, my life is my family and my friends. Strongman is just something I really enjoyed doing. Yeah, it's
perfect. And he's been doing strongman for a long time.
Yeah.
Because his dad and his grandfather got him into it, and he's a great athlete, but he loves it. He gives 100%. He reminds me of Mariusz Pudzianowski in the kind of way that he always wants to do better. He just seems to be improving every single time we see him. So there is more Giants live shows to come. There's more Strongman this year, and Alexei's going to be involved. He's at the Shore Classic. He's going to be in Cardiff. He's going to be in Glasgow, you know, he's got a lot more strongman to do this year.
Everywhere. And we were talking earlier about, like, if you had to rank, if you had a strongman ranking right now, and, you know, with a points-based system, so the biggest competition's worth the most points, where people place, you would have to have Oleksii at the top. Because his consistency, now you could say, oh yeah, but like Martins has been incredibly consistent.
If it was a ranking like a tennis ranking or something like that, he would be number one.
Yeah.
Martins and Tom, I think, you know, are the other two that you could have put into that top three.
Yeah.
Martins has been incredible. He's been second, first in his last three comps, but he doesn't compete that often.
Yes.
Tom is a lot more up and down.
Yeah.
Can be absolutely amazing, can slip down, but Novikov, every single time,
he's right
in the
up
top
there.
three.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, that wraps up the Giants Live Strongman Classic. It was a fantastic weekend. If you have not been to a live Giants Live show yet, make sure you get to one. There's so many opportunities coming up. We've got Glasgow, we've got Cardiff, we've got Liverpool for the team competition. That's going to be a fun one. And then there'll be even more shows next year. There's the Strongman Champions League happening in Gloucester. Yeah. There's the Arnolds. There's so much Strongman if you are based in the UK right now. It's really such a fun place to be for Strongman. If you're in Europe, we saw European fans coming over for this.
Yes.
I actually met some American fans that came over for this as well.
Really? That's incredible.
It's attracting more and more people. Get your tickets. And obviously, if you can't get there, make sure you watch on Facebook and Official Strongman.
And our behind the scenes. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel and watch my behind the scenes.